It was his off day. He was home. He was relaxing early in the morning, drinking a latte, watching the BBC, Babylonian Broadcast Channel. And just then, there was a knock on the door. He went to the door and recognized it was Arioch, the chief guard for Nebuchadnezzar. He opened the door. Arioch said, Daniel, I've got some bad news. You're going to be fired, but more than that, you're sentenced to death. You're going to be executed. And at this, Daniel was surprised. He'd only been serving for 2 years, been doing really well, passed all the tests, being promoted. He was expecting good. So he responded to Arioch, well, what's going on? It was explained to him that Nebuchadnezzar had had a dream. He had asked the other wise men, the magicians, the soothsayers, those people who do those magic things, to tell him what the dream was and what it meant. They couldn't do it. So he decided, as was apt to do, Nebuchadnezzar, that he was going to kill all the wise men. It was his day off. He didn't have anything to do with it. He didn't know about it. He wasn't part of it. But he said, well, can I speak to Nebuchadnezzar before I'm sentenced to death? Well, of course you can speak to him. He went to Nebuchadnezzar and he explained, I can't interpret the dream that I don't know, but the God I serve can interpret the dream that I do not know. That night he went home. He spoke to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, the 3 Hebrew boys, Meshach, and Abednego, and said, look, we need to pray to God that he will tell us what the dream is and what it means. And because of that night, God revealed the dream to him, and all those who were sentenced to death kept their life. This is a powerful truth, a wonderful story, and in summary, it says to us, here it is, God can be trusted. In your life, in your circumstances, in your finances, with sickness around us, with plague and tragedy and bad news, God can be trusted. No matter what the circumstances, God can be trusted. Here it is. The first thing this text really lifts up is all wisdom comes from God. All wisdom. Here when I say wisdom, I mean knowledge, understanding, and discernment. All wisdom comes from God. In Daniel chapter 2, wise or wisdom is said 6 times. But other words are used there too to talk about wisdom. One is discern. In the Hebrew, I looked it up. It really means flavor. I thought that was so strange. How could it mean flavor? Why would it mean flavor? Why would discern mean flavor? And I thought about these wine experts, sommeliers. They can take a glass of wine, they swish it around a little bit, they smell it, they hold it up to the light, and they taste it, and then they can say, oh, this is a vintage 1970 red wine from California. They can do that all because of their training, their understanding, their knowledge, their wisdom. They can distinguish and discern based on flavors. First, all wisdom comes from God. If you need to know, God knows. If you have a question, he has the answer. If you're confused about something, he can show you what the way is. So first, all wisdom comes from God. But then this text shows us that all worship belongs to God. After he gets the revelation in the night, he begins to praise God. And he says, God, you're worthy to be praised because you alone know all things. You're worthy to be worshiped. He worships God. Now think about that, because the truth is, as we think about devotion, is worship is not just an act that we do with our hands and we do with our words, but it's what we do with our life. And when we understand that God is God all by himself, that he's supreme, he's supernatural, he's above all, and he's in all, then we can worship God alone. That's how you live. That's when you wake up, you talk to him. That's when you lie down. That's when you make decisions. That's how you treat others. You worship God with your life. All worship belongs to God. All wisdom comes from God. But then the last thing this text, really the dream in its interpretation, teaches us is all worldly kingdoms will end. Everything that you see is temporal. God is eternal. Our souls are eternal. So we should live a life when we're recognizing that everything is fading and faulty and failing, but God is forever. It said that the sun never set on the Roman Empire, but it failed. It doesn't exist today. So the truth is that we should live life recognizing that the things that are touchable, the things that are tangible, are also temporal, meaning that they are time bound and they won't last forever. So we should look at God and say, his kingdom. In fact, Daniel chapter 7 says, the kingdoms of this world has become the kingdom of our God. This should make us devoted to God because we understand that we can trust God in everything because all wisdom comes from him. We can trust God in everything because all worship belongs to him. We can trust God in everything because all worldly kingdoms will end. Daniel is a wonderful message about being devoted and trusting God in everything. Be blessed.